Welcome to Girl Talk with the Boys. Our edition of giving you some knowledge. We dropping knowledge on this daggone podcast with the boys. Without further ado, let's kick it with the boys.
Just call me Michael.
All right.
Rasbo. That's what they call me.
It's your boy. I'm a repeat offender. Kai Carr, aka K Diddy, aka Kai. Back on Girl Talk with the boys, baby. Let's get
What's,
it.
what's
Take
that
that,
dance
take that.
again? What's that
Like
dance?
this. You gotta first of all, you gotta have the fingers like this.
Uh-huh.
Phone. You
Like you on the phone.
phone fingers, baby. You gotta do the phone fingers. If you want to get real jiggy with it, then you can start, get that flexibility going. Ooh.
Pop lock. Y'all pop lock back in the day?
We did it all back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You did? Y'all was spinning on your
Everything.
head and stuff?
Yeah, I used to do all that. We used to carry cardboard boxes around, windbreaker suits, all that in New York growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You had your
like
boom box. You had your boom box. You always was ready to battle. It'd always be a battle at any moment.
Let me see you. Let me see you do the worm right out the room.
Right? I'll do that when we exit.
You gonna do it backwards? You gonna
Right.
do it backwards? Do the word backwards? All right, we got an action-packed night, but before we kick it off, what I want to do is ask, first of all, how your week was or is getting started, and like, what's one word that you guys would use to explain your week thus far? I'll start with Rasbo, the quiet one, drinking Chardonnay.
Well, it's Cabernet.
Oh, Cabernet.
Yeah,
Still a name.
yeah, it's a name.
Wine.
It's a name. My week is going well. I just got back from visiting my mother. Got to spend some time with her, so that was cool. And
It is.
So I guess in a word, tranquil would be my week so
Oh,
far.
that's a pretty nice word. I like that word. That's pretty dope.
Like
Tranquil.
that.
Michael?
Well, my week wasn't tranquil. I've actually had some busy weeks lately with work, but this is a little more toned down. Even though I have some busy events coming up this week for work, but it feels manageable. I'll call it that. It's a manageable week.
Manageable. Tranquil and manageable. Damn, I can't even pronounce tranquil. How you spell it?
Right.
With a
'Cause I'm over
TR.
here experiencing burn out.
That's your word, bird.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if these brothers being honest. I'm burnt the hell out.
I would echo that.
I'm burnt the hell out, man. It's like Groundhog Day over here. Everything happens over here. My house is the bar. My house is the office. My house is the movie theater. My house is the club. My house is the restaurant. And I'm like, it's the gym. It's everything. And I'm like, I'm tired of doing everything at home now. 2 years in the pandemic, has a brother crispy, fried, extra crispy, burnt out. It's
You've
impacted
been
all.
doing it though. You have seemed to like have people around that you it really hasn't affected you in the way that most I think that you still interact with people, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm managing through it, but the one word for me is burnout.
I think it's
I,
probably catching up to you.
mhm.
So what would you want to do? What's the first thing you want to do when you feel safe?
That's a good question. Get out this damn house for extended periods of time. Back in the gym. There's a lot of stuff that's changed, man. I was wanted at the gym prior to the pandemic. Every morning up at 5:30 at the gym by 5:45, 6, get my 2-hour workout in, hit Starbucks. I had a routine, and that routine has completely changed. And it's funny. I was texting with one of my homegirls today, and she was talking about her sleep patterns being off. And she asked me, "What do you think it is?" And I'm like, "Shit, that could be anything." But I know one thing's for sure: this pandemic is having a subconscious impact on our conscious. and it's
Mm-hmm.
impacting all areas of our lives.
It
Whether or
is.
not people want to admit it or not, that's a different story. But it is having an impact.
I think we talked about you really don't necessarily have a connection with people. I don't know how you guys feel. Like you can't go in the office. So if you're a newbie on anyone's team or you
Yeah.
have people that report to you or you have teammates, you're it's almost like you're at each other's throats because you don't necessarily have you've never had the connection with them. You can't give them a hug. You can't really get to know them because it's all business all the time. Do you guys feel like that?
Yeah, I do. I will say, as of 2022, we are interacting more with our customers. So even though as of yet I haven't, well, last year we had a conference and then I had to present at the conference, and then tomorrow will be my first time in our office actually. So I'll be presenting to a number of customers tomorrow, and then for a workshop, and then in March I'll be traveling again. Will be the first time I'm actually traveling for specific customers.
That's
Uh,
cool.
I do think that's cool. So I know we're not out of the pandemic um, yet, but things are starting to um, change a little bit. Whether it should change or not, I don't know. I don't. I'm not getting into any politics about that, or any more about the health crisis about it. Um,
Yeah.
but we're starting to make those changes, and it's really based on the comfort level of the customer, and if they're demanding us to come on site, we have the option to say no, we don't want to go. But I do think the fact that we've been alone for so long. I mean, a lot of us are just like, I gotta get out of the house. I have to.
Did y'all
I'm
see?
saying.
Did y'all see
Okay.
that Instagram tweet by Keisha Lance Bottoms? How two black, very well-to-do men committed suicide here in Atlanta.
I know about
No.
one. I know about one. I don't know. I don't know how important he was, but I think he might have been the one I had heard about.
Well,
It
she
was,
said, I'm just going by what she said, bro.
yeah,
She said it was two black men, and my thing was in this country we put too much of a separation between healthcare and mental health,
yeah,
and it should not be separate. I mean, my mind is still part of my freaking body, so why
Right.
isn't mental health part of healthcare?
Who's gonna pay for it?
I mean, the insurance companies are
Mental.
giving it to us in the back already as it is.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I have it. I have it on my healthcare. I use it. Um, so, kind of
But
stupid.
no, but you pay for that, Mike.
No, no, no. I got. But imagine if it wasn't even an option on my healthcare. I'd still be paying for it, but it wouldn't be the
Out of
same thing.
pocket, right? You
Yeah,
you know, there's
it'd
you
be full
there's things
price.
you can do. It just how much are you willing to sacrifice for your mental health? If it's
Yeah,
some places are pretty expensive, you probably can't afford it.
I think
But some places there's good therapists out there that aren't as expensive that will
right.
give you
that
the necessary treatment that you need or coaching or openness that you need. So an outlet really.
Melissa though, what I'm hearing though is why aren't things the way that Kai described them? Like why isn't that part of overall healthcare? Why is not mental health a part of healthcare? And what I'm saying, what I think, maybe I kind of jumped the gun because I have a particular bone to pick with the way things are. But I think we neglect mental health because it's expensive. There's a lot of people that require mental health uh, uh, services, and those people are generally on the streets, homeless right now.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So overarchingly, I believe that's the problem. Is because we don't want to pay for it.
And that's what
We
I
don't
told
want
the
to pay
person
for
today.
it. Yeah. I believe that. I believe we don't want to pay for it, but I also believe it ties back to money, right? Like if you are sick and you're stressed, what does it do? It causes you to have other conditions. So that's more money in the doctor's pocket, insurance company's pocket. You got to pay for that insurance to get well. So I think it's a little deeper than that. I also think it's kind of like related to cancer. Why isn't there a cure for cancer?
Exactly. We
Well,
got look.
I think the bigger question is why isn't the cure for cancer released? Because I think it's out there personally.
Oh, definitely.
Without a doubt, man. Look, we went to the damn moon and back, and we got private sector people, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, putting rockets in space. You mean to tell me we don't have the cure to these diseases? Come on, son.
I think
They're working on nanotechnology right now, where they can inject nanites into your body to cure diseases.
Meta.
cancer. I think personally, I kind of when y'all were first talking, I was like, y'all are extreme with y'all opinions. I didn't realize y'all were so extreme with them, but I think I think we do have the cure for cancer. I think it really is rooted in diet, like your diets. You
For
what you
sure.
put into your body, it cures your body. Cancer is a natural development of deteriorating cells. So I could buy that just eating the right foods, cured.
But how do you know all right, let's just say in
No,
your mind, you went to the Whole Foods or wherever Wegmans, wherever you shop, and you quote unquote bought the right foods. How do you know that it's right?
you don't. You don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
There's so many opinions out there, man. It's like trial and error. It's like you have to be really in touch with your body and just being open to eating different things and seeing what works out for you, trying different diets out, getting insight and just figuring out what works for
I
you.
almost feel like
That's a
though, if
path.
it
That's
were
an
that
individual
easy,
thing.
everybody would be doing
It
it.
ain't
Doing
easy.
it.
It
Thank
ain't.
you.
It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Yeah,
It's simple
Pimping
though.
ain't easy.
It's simple though. It's simple.
You
but
want to talk
I
about
just
easy?
think that's not the end all be all. Like for me, I was a cancer survivor, but I had to take
I
in a
didn't know that.
medication
I didn't know that.
that the side effect was cancer. It was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But being young, I ignored the side effects of that, and then I got the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So it's not necessarily diet. I'm sure diet played a part because whatever area was weak, right? The cancer probably found its way in. But I think there are plenty of nuances that we could
Well,
look at
well,
from a cancer perspective.
yeah, definitely. And life is complex, but I mean, you didn't you rebutted mine, but there were two other opinions offered on cancer.
Oh no, you right in front of me, so you got it right.
She was like, ah,
I do. I mean, I agree with you. Like everything is about diet. Health is about diet. I think our food, the stuff they put in our food, I think the deodorants, all of that stuff is a part. The after effect is the diseases that we get. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. But I think also cancer is worth a lot of money. You when I had cancer, you had to go. I had to go to so many doctors. You had to go to the radiologist. I went to the radiologist to get radiation for 30 days straight. Somebody getting paid. I had to do chemo, which was once a month for 8 hours per
Eight
session.
hours?
damn,
Per session.
shit.
And when I went to get chemo, I mean that room was lit like it was like an assembly line of chairs lined up of people getting it.
And
Really?
think about the economics of that. The building, the real estate, the electronics, the power. Everyone is making money off of this shit. The
Yep.
chair you sit in. I mean,
The pharmaceutical rep.
right,
That equipment is expensive.
right.
There's too much money in it for a cure to be released. So I do agree with you, Rasbo. We need to think about what we're putting into our bodies in
That's
the
the
first place.
that's the thing that we can control. I mean,
Yeah,
we
for
could
sure.
we could look at all kinds of conspiracy theories if we want, but I mean, yeah, what we can control is best. You know, diet and exercise. That's the best we can do. Past that, you know, that's in God's hands. Whatever happens, you
Hmm.
know.
But what's the I want to back it up a little bit. What's the conspiracy theory we talking about?
Yeah, because I was like, I wasn't bringing no conspiracy theory.
Who we talking
Oh
about?
no, that there already exists. I thought I heard someone say there already is a cure for cancer.
No, I said that I think there's a cure already for it.
And I said that with
That's not being released, right?
how far we've advanced just as a civilization,
Uh,
there's no way in hell you can't tell me that we don't have the technology to get the cure to these diseases.
But even if you go back to back, I don't know, what, 60s, 30s, 40s, when people got cancer, it was a death sentence. So it has
Hmm.
progressed where you can get cured, like myself. Hey, I'm gonna switch up the gears then right here. Listen, I was reading an article and I saw where Mary J. Blige had to go back on tour because she couldn't afford to pay her rent because she's paying her husband alimony.
that's good news
I
for
think
us,
that's
right?
jacked up.
I
Huh?
think ain't that good news for those of us who haven't seen her live yet?
Oh man, that's stupid. You dumb
Oh
man.
my
That's funny.
God!
Yes. All right. Talk about not having any
Oh
empathy.
my
That was
God!
like zero empathy for Mary J.
I
Blige.
Oh
got I
my
got all the
God! That
empathy
was
from.
funny as
That's
hell, dude.
funny.
That was funny. That was funny, man. That was right on cue.
Hey,
Like you supposed to been with your name when she tried to introduce the podcast and she
you
was
was
supposed to come
supposed to
in.
you was supposed to.
That that was on cue, bro. I gotta give it to you.
I,
There it
Funny.
is. This is
I
this is for you,
appreciate you.
Rasbo.
Thank you,
There
thank
you
you,
go. That's for
The
you, bro.
slow clap.
thank you, thank you.
So that's it. So y'all just think it's okay. She can just go
N-
back on tour
Well,
and
so
we get
Well,
to see her.
yeah, Michael.
this is what I think. The first thing is I don't necessarily think I don't think it's cool for um, her to be paying her ex-husband's alimony. I don't think that's cool at all. But she is wealthy, so I have to wonder. I see you're making that face, Melissa, but I'm just curious. Like, well, I'm curious how much he's taken, and number two, how much is her rent that she can't pay her rent with
It
all
don't
the money?
matter. It's the principality.
Oh, the
It's
But
the
I mean, hey,
principality.
hold on.
The
I want to say
principality.
something else, Kai.
Now it comes out. It's the principle of the
Listen,
thing. Just because she's Mary J.
but that's the
Blige.
same complaint men say about having to pay like stuff like that because it sometimes can be so ridiculous that it can just handicap a man. It could straight up disable him. So,
Mm,
I mean,
disable.
I know the,
That's
not
serious.
personally, I don't know, but I mean, we all know someone who's either um, is dealing with that or has dealt with that, and the judicial system may look at men like,
You the
that's just
provider.
yeah, but he got to live his life too.
Times have changed, though, Melissa.
And so I want to add to that
Yeah, you
too.
could get
Even
your ass
even
out there and get on content going
and
tour too.
even if there isn't even if there isn't a prenup, I mean, I think there's got to be some kind of basis of how much was contributed to the success of someone to be able to just come in with whatever you before, and now you're balling out of control just because y'all were married and you're just getting half of somebody else's income. I don't necessarily think that's right, whether you're male
You
or
heard Eddie
female.
Murphy. Eddie Murphy said half, Eddie. That's how
Yeah,
it's supposed to work. The man.
yeah. I
Half
understand
There, there,
children need
Eddie.
to be
there,
taken care
there,
of,
there,
but
there's a construct for that called prenup. And if the
I know.
person doesn't want to do a prenup, Saya fucking Nara.
And I do believe strongly in prenups, especially now if we didn't have nothing when we got together and we built some stuff, okay. But
That's
if
different.
if if you're coming into my life or I'm coming into your life, because I surely wouldn't have a problem signing a prenup. If I met someone who was very well to do before I got there. Um, I don't necessarily deserve anything that she's built.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
if things didn't work out, because it didn't work out, and I certainly I'm not evil enough to try to take anybody's anything that
Oh,
was there
that's
before I got there. Now, if whatever businesses or stuff that has taken place, and I've shared some ideas and she's ran with it and stuff like that, maybe, but I wouldn't be out to get someone financially. That would
So
never be
if
my
you
goal.
saying like you were married to Mary J. Blige, I'm just gonna use Mary J. Blige. If you was married to Mary J. Blige, you none of you would take her money if you
I
got
wouldn't.
divorced
Nah, I
and there was
wouldn't.
no
Nah,
prenup.
No,
I
I,
wouldn't.
I think I well first.
Rasbo was like, F that, yes.
No, I think I do. I think I do. Number one,
yeah.
I ain't
Get
Cause,
going
your
out
ass
weeks
on
old.
tour.
cause you
Rasbo
know
like,
what
I'm trying to
you
retire,
nah
son.
nah you know what it is. I think what happens is people answer this question like based off of principle. Like on principle, nah, I ain't taking her money like that. Nah, I ain't just gonna take her money.
That's true.
But
That's fair.
if the environment is such that I've grown accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle that is provided by being in her orbit, I might feel some type of way if I'm kicked too far out of that orbit, right?
Well,
So
why?
I,
But
I,
why
I
not? Why
may
not?
feel entitled. I may very well feel entitled to a little something just to be a little bit closer into that orbit. And which I think what happens is that gets carried way too far, whereas people getting like $200 million a year is
What
crazy.
the Bible say? The Bible say, "Naked I came in, naked I go out."
We talk.
This is what I
We're
think.
not talking about the
Listen,
Bible, though. We're talking about the law.
listen.
The
If I was in, if I'm with someone that is doing that well, and I haven't figured out how to bring and contribute just as much in that relationship with business
Hmm.
ideas or stuff, that's my fault. Because
Right.
I believe strongly that when you surround yourself with people like that who are doing that well, you have got to pick up something. And I'm
Right.
sure while in that relationship, if her husband had some pretty good ideas, she probably would have financed them while they were together.
Well, he was. I mean, she was. So he wasn't like he was her manager, all kinds of stuff. Like
Oh, we
he
still
was
talking
doing
about marriage,
stuff
yeah.
on the side, yeah, and still took
Well,
her money. So was he an
okay.
opportunist to
Yeah,
begin with?
probably,
Yeah,
probably.
probably
I
so.
mean,
Yeah.
because now I'm literally I'm not talking about having your own wife as a client,
They were married though.
because if your wife as a client, if things don't work out and she's no longer your client, then I mean you're not going to do as well if that's your bread and butter right there. So that's bound to be a disaster. But if you're with someone, and if I'm with someone that has all these business ideas, and she has enough disposable income to kind of try things, because basically people who have businesses, they get to that point where, I mean, they have multiple businesses, they get to that point where they could be smart about their ideas. They also could be, um, they can afford to take a loss if things don't work out. And if
Like
you're
Shaq's ex-wife.
probably, and I don't know anything about these celebrities.
Yeah, I wouldn't
exes and
even. I
stuff.
don't know if I would even get married if I was, NBA, NFL. I mean, shit. Me and Mike tried to become damn singers and shit. I don't know if I would, be able to get married doing
A
that.
singer?
K&M,
Yeah.
you ain't heard of us?
Yeah, you ain't heard us. You ain't heard
Bust,
us. Yeah, you
bust
ain't,
a move.
you ain't hear about our single that dropped on
Shoot.
MySpace back in 2007.
Uh-huh.
I can't say that I have.
That was like
Let us hear it.
2004.
Yeah,
Let
it's
us hear it.
alcohol. Alcohol messes with your vocal strings, so not tonight.
Maybe next time.
This is last word. Uh, you never like individual. It sounds like both of y'all are talking about individual circumstances that you can relate to. Like you really never know what the actual circumstances are going to be in a situation
That's
like
true.
that. So you can't blanket say, "Nah, I ain't going to do it," because people do that all the time. I'm not going to throw a specific gender out there,
But I've been in that
people
situation,
do that all the
bro.
time, and then when it
I've
happens,
been in a situation where my ex-wife had 6 figures in the bank and I didn't touch it, and I had the right to go after it. And so, like my man Michael said, It's if you're a man of character and principle, you won't do that shit. Period. And you got two black men on this podcast, Kai Carr and Michael, who will not do that. And I've been there. Now it ain't 200 million, but I mean shit. I mean, name black people who. How many black people you know got 6 figures in savings?
You got zero, but if you got $0, man, they got 200 million. You got $0. They gonna throw you out in the street, and you ain't gonna be asked for $1.
Well, like Mike said, bro. I mean, if I don't use that opportunity and capitalize on that, then that's on me. I deserve to be in the street.
And I'm not talking about using her at all. I'm talking about whatever you decide to get some financial help with, or I mean,
y'all been
being
married
in that situation.
Y'all been married for 10 years, Mike. Married 10 years. Say 10 years.
Huh?
Say you're married for 10 years.
10 years.
She got 200.
He said she knows. He's saying, imagine you were married for 10 years.
Yeah, she got 200 million, bro. 200 million. Y'all been running in the same circles, and she throwing you out in the cold with a thin sweater.
So how you with somebody 10 years and you're not successful yourself?
Right. You haven't done anything. You deserve to be on the street.
You're living.
That's
you're
what
living
happens. That's what people do.
Well, that's what we're talking about. That's what you're saying. That's what people do. Those are the type of people. I don't want anybody in my life like that.
I feel you.
I don't want anybody in my life that, you know, who I could be doing better and they're not. And not saying they're not because. Well, I'm saying they're not because they're not trying. It's one thing to have some things that hadn't worked out and you just weren't successful at that, but hadn't tried is another issue. And I think if you're with someone and they're worth 200 million, I mean, goodness, you couldn't take advantage of that situation to at least make yourself worth 500,000. Seriously,
brother, right. I feel you.
That's the
But what if you still at the will of that person, right? Because if I have 200 million, does it mean you have 200 million?
In marriage, I mean, people like to say that, but I've been with. I mean, I'm doing better today, but when I got out of the military, I met a lot of successful women who were doing a lot better than me. And some of them, or most of them, have encouraged me to do better and stuff like that. I didn't feel like, I mean, they didn't make me feel less than, and I know I wasn't married to them, but, you know, being anyone I was in a relationship, they would help out and stuff like that. But I at least had the mind to be curious, how'd you get there?
But that's what black women will do that. But see, Mike, you're a good dude, though. That's the difference. You're a good fucking dude. So a woman's going to invest that. Well, look, folks out there in podcast land, you know, we ain't 3 random black men. These 3 brothers plus Roosevelt. We got at least 30 plus years of friendship, maybe 50. And if you add Melissa into the mix, we probably got 60 years of friendship here. So I know these dudes. I know their life. I know what they've been through. I know their ups, their downs, their peaks, their valleys. So you're a good dude, Mike. So a woman who might be doing better than you is going to invest that in you because they see the character. And that's what we're talking about here. Being a man of principles and character. A man of principles and character won't do that shit.
Yeah.
They'll do what Mike is talking about. But we live in a different world now. And I was going to get to this point, Melissa. No, but this is the reality of it.
Rasmus said she better get her ass on tour. I need my money.
Oh, my man, I'm gonna do Melissa, and he gonna keep it real, son.
He gonna be like, you need her.
This dude is not gonna be passive aggressive.
Rasmus said,
David Goggins said it best, right?
Rasmus said, you need a ride.
Oh man, I'm gonna be there doing my part though. I'll be there.
But
I'm gonna buy one of the good
situation
tickets
boils
too.
down to being a person, a man. Since we're talking about the man in that, a man of character, a man of principles. Period.
That's what I said. The principality.
The principalities, baby, in high places.
It's
Yeah.
physicality. That was a good
Yeah.
conversation. Good convo. Good
But
convo.
I want to, Melissa. Let me say this too, real quick. So that is one fear I have. You know, I don't right now. I don't see marriage again in the future. I'm not there. But that is one of the things that I would have to mentally deal with. Like, what kind of people, because there are a lot of people with motives when they meet you, especially if they see that you're doing well. So I wouldn't want to deal with someone who um, is capable of trying to take advantage of a situation for themselves. Uh, like you said, there are plenty of people like that. After you've been there for a while, you start to see other sides come out. But if a person isn't figuring out how to make the best of the situation and them to help come on top, if they're not contributing to the relationship or marriage, what are we together for? If like that, if I'm taking care of you and all you want to do is just you just want to ride along.
But the
But
one part,
if you just sorry, Kai, go ahead.
now you
Go
the
ahead.
host. You the host, boo. So can I go?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
Man,
That Long Island is working your way, its way
yo,
through your system.
I love the fact that you allow us to drink in your podcast. But
But
anyway, but we don't know remember, there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah.
So we don't know what Mary J did in that how she treated him or whatever. But if we just want to look at it just based on principles,
That's what I'm saying.
God God made me first and put me in the garden.
Fair enough.
And then he said it's not good for man to be alone. And then he made Eve.
Fair enough. Amen.
all right.
Amen. Exactly, and that's where I'm at with it. We don't know the circumstances,
Yeah, we don't
so
know.
we can't
Right.
we can't
We don't
blanket
know.
just say what it is. We could say off of principle, off books, what we would do, but
Yeah.
as far as that man's situation, that might be right.
But what we were supposed to talk about is what is your love language? Did you guys take the quiz?
Yeah, I bet.
I
I
did.
took mine twice.
All right. What's your love language? I'll start with you, Michael.
Mine has been physical touch forever. So I took it again today. That was probably, honestly, that's probably the 25th time I've taken that test. And
You
physical
love to be
touch.
touched, huh? You love to touch, huh? Okay.
But so let me say this too. This guy, man.
Lay your hands on me, Jesus.
But I'm like that but I'm like that with a lot of things. So I mean, it could be definitely if I'm with a young lady that I'm feeling, I might, kind of get close to her and rub my shoulder against hers. I might flirt with her a little bit, and flirting will be physical. I might actually touch her arm, touch her hand, and stuff like that. But I'm also like that, man. Even when I see my homeboys, when I see you guys, first thing I do is give you guys a dap and a
Yeah.
hug. That's me.
Sure.
When I'm out shopping for clothes or furniture or looking for things for my new home, it could be a rug. I'm really touchy when I'm looking for what I'm deciding on. It's funny, but
Do you say what is that? Velvet?
yeah, right. What is that, velvet? But no, I mean, like when I see a when I see a soft rug or a rug that I assume could be soft, I want to feel how soft it is. If I see a nice suit, the type of fabric it is, I'm curious about
That's
how it feels.
interesting.
But so it goes well beyond just I think when we initially think about physical touch, we think about the sexual side of it, and certainly I can go there, but it kind of rears itself with anything, because on top of that, if I'm with a woman that I'm interested in, I won't touch her
But
at all.
what if she doesn't want you to touch her?
I mean, I kind of go off of the body language and stuff too. I mean, I just don't be reaching out touching chicks like that. It's not. I don't do that at all. All
No,
right.
I mean if you're dating someone and maybe a month goes by, and you're starting to touch her physically, and she moves away.
I
what do you
would
do
think.
then?
Well, I don't know why we were going out for a whole month. If you don't want me touching you, that's kind of weird.
Yo,
A month, and you're backing away when I touch you. We got bigger problems.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
We
I
got
think.
bigger problems.
But I think, come on, man. A woman, if you going out for 30 days and the woman's still backing up, you would have seen some signs before 30
Yeah.
days. Come
Why
on.
are you going out with me? You must be going out with me just to get a meal. If I can't,
Right,
because
right.
women will touch you. Women will touch your hand.
Mhm.
Women do stuff like that when they like you too. So
yeah, don't.
I
yeah,
mean,
definitely.
It's us that won't do that kind of stuff because we're not reared that way.
Interesting.
so if I hadn't figured that out probably by the second date, then we ain't going to
Yeah,
30.
something wrong with you.
Well, the
That-
second date is a little forward. You start touching
My-
people's
my
legs and
hands
arms.
ain't- I'm not rubbing her legs.
Nah, nah,
It just
you ain't
could
gotta
be.
do
It
nothing
could be
nasty,
me
just
grabbing
touch.
her hand.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
not
think
even
any.
that. It's not even that, Mike. I mean, so me and Mike been friends for 30, going on 30 fucking years. You know what I mean? So we know each other. But so you know if a woman is interested in you when you first meet her. And me and Mike talk about this all the time. We want to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that a woman is interested. Otherwise, there's no point in even investing in that. And Melissa, we were on, during the pandemic, we were on our little stock thing. You would send me stock shit. I send you. We're not going to invest in anything that ain't going to yield no returns. Period.
Yeah.
So for me, ladies out there, if you're interested in the guy, stop doing this whole, oh, you can't let him know. No, we're grown. If you're interested in a man, let him know. Fellas, if you're interested in a woman, let her know. Stop
I
playing
know
these
that's
games.
right.
Stop playing these
Stop
games,
playing the
man.
games.
Yeah, we too old for this shit, man. Let them know. Let me know. If I meet you out in a spot and you're not interested, I want to know that night. So I can keep it moving. Because
Who hurt you?
my feelings don't get hurt like that, especially around that shit.
Now that what?
Yeah.
My feelings don't get hurt around that. Because rejection is part of life. You can't walk around in life only looking at one side of the part where you get received, and then you want to ignore rejection. That's not how life works.
And I'll
This
add
whole-
to that, Kai.
Let me finish, Mike. And this whole bullshit where you're in an event, and we all know how sporting events work. There's a W and there's an L column. You're either a winner or you lost. There's no runner-up at the Super Bowl, at the NBA championship, and that's just life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but it doesn't define who you are as a person.
Mhm.
So if a woman rejects me out at a restaurant, a club, a lounge, it is what it is. That's just part of the whole cycle of reality. Rejection and acceptance is all part of it. Accepting. Yeah, Mike.
I just want to add to that that when you're dating someone in the first date or second date, that's if you're not feeling somebody, that's your chance to make someone aware of that. I mean, at the
You
very
don't know
least,
on the first or second date, do you?
sometimes you do.
Sometimes,
somebody-
but it's not the rule of thumb. I think you got to give it a
No.
moment.
Well, yeah, but my point of saying that, the earlier you let someone know that you're not feeling them, the less of a blow it is. I mean, why wait a whole month or 2 months to say, you know what, I wasn't really feeling you.
Yeah.
How does it get that far? I mean, yeah.
Because we live in a passive-aggressive, weak society. I agree with David Goggins when he says that. People are. Me and Melissa
You
talk about
live in
this
an
all the time.
opportunist society as well.
That
Like you
too.
said. Yeah.
That too. Yep.
Yeah, we already talked about that with Mary. And
What was your
Okay,
love
but-
language, Roswell?
Pardon me. I was gonna I don't really feel comfortable giving out my love language to
Okay.
people, so they might, use it to find favor
Never
with me or
mind.
something. Yeah.
So my love language, Melissa Ann, podcast host, is words of affirmation.
Wow, really?
Yes. And
Interesting.
I took the podcast. I mean, I didn't take a podcast. I took the assessment years ago, and then I took the assessment after I got divorced to see if things shifted. Because shit impacts you. That's just
Mhm.
life. Shit impacts us, right? And I wonder if my life growing up into the man I am today has impacted my love languages outside of relationships. Y'all
Was the
follow?
love language the same though?
Acts of service and words of affirmation, I think, flipped
They're like a
from,
close, yeah.
yeah, 8 and 7. And I think
Mhm.
one became 8 and the other one became 7.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
I
is
didn't
it,
look at the numbers.
yeah,
Yeah,
they give you scores. They
yeah,
give you
yeah.
scores. And they tell you just because like my physical touch was at the top. Guess
Mhm.
where my physical touch is? At the bottom. But does that mean I don't like being touched? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that words of affirmation, acts of service, which are my top two, are just stronger for me than physical touch. I mean, if I'm dating a woman and you ain't touching me, I'm gonna have an issue with that.
You ain't
Yeah,
touching
and I'll
me.
say on mine as well. My so physical touch has always been my primary, and my secondary has always been a tie between words of affirmation and quality time. It's always been that way. It hasn't changed. It has
My
not
Mine was
changed.
physical,
quality time. I didn't look at the other ones. I didn't think about looking at. I know I looked at the last one was
Ah,
something about gifts. Like I'm
receiving
not high.
gifts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
receiving. I'm not high on that one. It was quality time.
all
Why do you
right.
think that is, Melissa, that you're not high on receiving gifts?
I just never. I was always taught is not. It's better to give than receive. All the time, better to give than receive. Better to give than receive. But I what talked about the last time. I wasn't raised where you're asking a man for something. My parents were older, so if my parents were alive today, they'd be in their late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched the older generation of how you take care of a man. It wasn't necessarily my father giving my mother things. It was
Yeah.
her taking care of her man. So I wasn't raised in that way to say, you got to give me X before I give you Y. I'm independent. So I could get what I want myself.
Right.
So I wonder, because like my top one is words of affirmation, and I'm looking at that's why I keep looking up, because I'm looking at my profile on the screen.
Hmm.
And when words of affirmation is my top at 8, at a score of 8. And I wonder if that's because I created a story as a child about that, I'm not good enough. Is it really because of relationships and love that this is the way it is? Or is it because, we've developed these stories and these mantras over the years about who we are, and that's why it's, the top score.
I
That's
think,
interesting.
but I think that plays a part. I think everything that we've experienced with love from
Mm.
from our parents,
Yeah.
from
Mm-hmm.
our relationships, from our friendships, um, even even things that we've seen with other couples or role models or people from church. I think all of that has an influence on what you've learned, what you've learned about love and what you've learned to like and dislike about love. I think all of that influences us. Now we all are all individuals, but I think out of what we see and experience, you just naturally gravitate to something. But I mean, if you didn't know anything about love, what would you know to what would you know to to need for?
That's pretty deep. What both of you are saying is like, how does it tie to childhood stuff? Like, it could even be childhood trauma.
Right, that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
my parents did not tell me they love me. That was, they
right.
didn't hug, they didn't tell you that, but it was because that's how I guess they were raised.
Hmm.
So is
Yeah.
is that tied to why I need, quality time with someone?
Right,
So
that's what I was trying to get at. I know this book is about relationship and how to quote unquote please your mate or partner.
Uh-huh.
But is it, and I read the book while I listened to it on Audible, but I don't remember all of these. So maybe I need to read it, listen to it again to
What's
make
the
sure.
name of the book? Because I took a random test. What's the name of the book?
The five love languages.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a whole book on it, but I think all the tests are generally about the same, whether they're long or short, because I've taken many different type, and some can be some very long tests, and some are very short tests. But my results have always been, I'm serious though.
I'm not
But
laughing
my
at you. I'm really laughing at Rasbo because I feel like we are boring him.
That's what I say.
Nah,
I'm
I'm
done
saying-
with this love.
My man is
Hey.
looking around like, when is this shit over? Like,
I'm tuned in.
it's, and so it's funny because this is actually a topic that I enjoy talking about. I actually enjoy talking about love languages. Um,
I
wanna use an
wasn't saying
example.
anything, Mike. I was just saying.
It's all good. I want to use an example of me, and I won't go into detail about my upbringing, but just like your experience, Melissa, you didn't really hear it from your parents. I didn't either. As a matter of fact, I still wasn't receiving love in a different way to know that I was loved. So that wasn't good. So with that said, different women that I've dated that appreciated the way I showed love because of my physical touch, or could be comments that I said because I'm familiar with words of affirmation or wanting to spend time with them. Because of those love languages, those were things that I ended up seeking in women. And if they displayed them in the way that I needed, I'd end up being closer to them. Now, whether it was their love language or not, or they just were in tune with me and they just gave me what I needed, I became closer to them. But I remember dating, one of the girlfriends I had. She had mentioned, it's kind of amazing that what you had been through growing up, that you're very you're very physical with women in a way where it's not overwhelming, but it's enough to let a woman know that you have her undivided attention.
And I
Yeah.
told you that. Didn't I tell you that, Mike?
You have to.
Always
But
commended
I'm
Mike.
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna give you the flip side. Like, if you notice, like, physical touch is not on mine, but physical touch is not on mine because as a child, I'm a product of molestation. So I was molested from age 5 to 12.
Oh,
So if you touch me on date 1 or 2, I'm gonna be the one that's like this. Like, I don't
that's why
want
you
you to
asked
touch
that.
me. Yeah, I don't want you to touch me until I'm comfortable with you.
Yeah. See,
Well,
I
I think
hate that.
Well, I think what Kai and Mike were talking about was detecting that level of comfort being reached early on, and being in tune with that. I think that exchange could work either way. I mean, regardless of who you are, what you've been through in the past, if you click with somebody, you click with somebody, and if they know you feeling them and you know they feeling you, back and forth. I think that's the exchange that Mike and Kai were
Yeah.
talking about.
He is.
That's that ultimate
He-
dance.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is chemistry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
definitely
Very
chemistry.
important. Very important.
Yes, it is definitely chemistry. But chemistry doesn't happen always in 1 or 2 days, right? So I think you have to know kind of your audience. It might not be that I'm turned off from you. It's just that I'm pulling from something that happened to me in the past. So I'm trying to trust you first.
I got you. No one's ever grown on me, so I don't know what that feels like. I'm either interested and I continue to be more and more interested in you. I've never just thought somebody was like, yeah, we'll try it. She's cool. And then one day I'm like, boom, oh my God, I love this woman.
You might have missed out on your blessing, brother.
That's never happened. And not saying that I've cut everybody off that I've dated because that hasn't happened. I might continue to date them for a little bit, but they still have never grown on me to the part where I'm like, oh man, I'm really feeling this girl. She's a great woman. I want to keep her. That's never
But
happened.
Mike, you know what? Usually I hear women use that
I have too.
particular where women
have
kind of will give a
Interesting.
man a chance to grow on them. Where men, we're mostly like, either I'm interested in you or I'm not.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was gonna say that has happened to me multiple times, where that person had to grow on me.
Look at this guy.
I got.
Oh,
I got.
Rasbo.
There was a time I don't want to speak on it though because it's gonna
Come
make
on,
me.
son. You
share-
can't,
you don't share
you can't be
nothing.
like, there was a time. and
I
then
know
it's
you
like,
do damn well what the podcast was about. Go talk about I choose not to disclose my love language.
No. I pick. I got 5, right? The love languages. Which
You're
one
not
you
supposed
want?
to pick.
Nah,
Just what's your top one?
Melissa picked the top one.
what do you
Physical.
mean you picked the top one? No, you took the test.
You tell us your top one.
What's the standout one?
The top one is physical touch.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
see.
So who the hell is going to use that against you?
Nobody's gonna use it against me. I was just joking.
Okay.
You warmed up the stage. I was gonna be aloof at first,
Oh.
and then you warmed up the stage, and you took my whole answer with physical touch, and I was like, I ain't have nothing for it, so I bowed
Yeah,
out.
that's what
Oh
Okay.
man, see now
I
somebody
hope I
gonna
have
be at somebody gonna see you driving in your car and they gonna be at the bus stop tomorrow and they gonna run over to your car, rub your back.
You know what I'm saying?
you
Touch
better
your
not
bald
run.
head.
Be at work,
that's usually
right.
what it is. That's usually what it is.
Gonna stroke your
Run their
beard,
fingers
brother.
down your
too.
little shoulder.
That too. That
Stroke
too.
your
Itsy
whiskers.
That That's how I go, huh?
Yeah. And they gonna sing it just like that with the notes. Spider.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Soprano.
But yeah,
Soprano on you, bro.
I don't know. That was a soprano. Well, gentlemen, man, this was a good conversation. I know you guys plenty of things to do, and you could have been anywhere else but here. But I do appreciate you joining. I so enjoy these conversations every other week with you. Any final parting words before we disconnect for the evening?
I got something to say. Going back to the pandemic stuff a little bit. I do plan on going into 2022. I know we're in it now, but we're still early in the year. But I plan on being at a little more day parties, outside day parties. I plan on going to more festivals, seeing more live music, and more Sunday brunches. So so I'm gonna break free a little bit of this pandemic fatigue and kind of get out a little bit. Do some bike riding on the belt line, enjoy some bars along the belt line. I'm just
That's
looking forward
dope.
to having a good year.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love it. The sun will be out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was
We'll
warm
be
as
in the
hell today.
70s tomorrow. Was it?
It was warm as hell today, yeah. My mom's
Be in
went
the
out to
70s
check the
tomorrow.
mail. My mom's went out to check them out. She came and she was like, "Ooh, it is hot out there."
She used to that below zero
Yeah,
weather.
she used that up north. So I'm gonna go back to this whole what I said earlier, Melissa, as a closing statement. Men and women out there, stop playing these games. If you feeling somebody, let them know. This whole if I get your number, I gotta wait 3 days and BS. If you're feeling them, let them know, and that goes to both men and women. Stop playing these games. We're grown ass people now. We're not in high school. We're not in college. If you're feeling somebody, let them know.
Hey,
I second.
that's a word.
Yeah, I second that one. Yeah, that's good money right there.
Rasbo, work
Right,
with
come
us.
on, Raspberry, work with us, man. All right, Wakanda Forever snap. Okay.
Y'all are a trip, boy. I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast with Girl Talk with the boys. And we'll see you again next time. And as always, I see you because I am you.